Welcome to Seriously Seinfeld, the serious side of Seinfeld, by Rebecca Conrad. I'm Rob Gerard, your narrator. Insight on Michael Richards. Once upon a time, Larry David, the creator of Seinfeld, had a zany neighbor named Kenny Kramer who was forever coming into Larry's apartment and helping himself to whatever he felt like. Understandably annoyed by it at the time, the original Kramer would evolve into an iconic TV neighbor on Seinfeld years later. Cosmo Kramer. The name itself incites an air of goofiness and probably brings a smile to your face. It's easy to write about the characters on Seinfeld when they are your favorites. You tend to know more about them in general, who the actors are as people, to a degree, and why you are drawn to them. This was apparent for me when writing about Jerry and Julia. Slightly less apparent, but still obvious when I wrote my blurb about Jason Alexander. Jerry's character has some Jerry in him. For example, he's funny without even opening his mouth. Jerry himself and the character of Jerry have that rare quality, which is the epitome of a true comedian. Whatever he is doing this very moment as you read this, I guarantee you it's pretty funny. Probably not to him, though. The people who possess that quality can't see it, and I'm not sure I want them to. Julia, as the beloved Elaine, was a favorite for her female perspectives in a male-dominant sitcom. Jason, as George, showed us the more problematic aspects of life and his solutions to try to deal with them. I have left the hardest of the four for last, Michael Richards as Kramer. On a personal level, while I found him hilarious much of the time, his style of comedy was a little bit too out there, earning him the number 4 spot in order of my favorite Seinfeld characters. Most of you reading this will likely disagree. If you poll a group of people, the majority will place him in the top 2. It's just personal opinion. Slapstick, physical comedy usually comes off as the comedian trying too hard to be funny, and often makes him or her appear mediocre. It almost makes me cringe and therefore is not my favorite. However, this element was important to Kramer's character for bringing something a bit different to the fourth friend in the bunch, and he wholly delivered on it. To say Michael Richards as Kramer had his good points is an understatement. Undeniably, the show would have not had the success it did without him in that role. Who else could burst through a door the way Kramer did, or continuously come up with wacky entrepreneurial ideas in an attempt to solve modern-day dilemmas? An eccentric neighbor was definitely a required element of the show. I thought Michael would be the hardest of the four to get to know, short of actually speaking to him myself. After much time digging through archives, I found I was not wrong and have come to one conclusion. Michael is vastly different from Kramer, possibly more so than any of the other 3 characters. Michael has said he had to get out of the way to play Kramer, and I don't doubt it for a second. His demeanor during interviews is calm and collected. Out of character, he seems very even-keeled, not at all excitable, and very much the straight man, even when reflecting on his time on Seinfeld. I consider this a real testament to his level of acting ability and how he has mastered that as a performer. Michael had been a physical comedian much of his life. Drafted into the Army in 1970, he trained as a medic and eventually joined a theatrical group while stationed in Germany, enabling him to stay in the comedy game. On the set of Seinfeld, he was often off by himself in a corner, perfecting the art of being Kramer. This obviously paid off. He took home 3 Emmy Awards for the role, although he claims it wasn't until the 14th episode that he really knew who Kramer was. There was never a aha moment of revelation for Kramer. It was a continuously evolving process to bring Kramer to life in what would be a very iconic character, quite unlike any other on TV. It was his impulsive decision to do an uncalled for headstand during the Kramer audition that won him the role. He was the clear choice to play the comical K-Man that Larry David was seeking. And as they say, the clothes make the man. In this case, they made the K-Man character even more interesting. Known for his funky shirts and retro type outfits, he created a whole new style, complete with the jacket that was left at his mother's house, claiming many women were attracted to it. And no fashionable look is complete without the right haircut. Michael found his haircut to be a bit short, so he kept tugging at the top of it, thereby poofing it out and creating the famous Kramer hairdo. Seinfeld would definitely have been a different show had anyone else played Kramer. It was his nuances that Michael brought to the role that rounded out the character, which rounded out the friendship of the four favorite TV people and paved the way for television's best sitcom. Each deserves their own applause for their own eccentricities and should take their bows accordingly. I don't expect Kramer to do that without falling down or yelping or pointing and saying, "Giddy up." Thank you for tuning in to another blog episode of Seriously Seinfeld. And don't forget to join the Facebook groups Seriously Seinfeld and Seinfeld Fanatics. And look for Rebecca Conrad.